Hey hi and welcome back to Sleepyheads Gaming with some more of the old night call shenanigans. We're on night 5 of the Sandman investigation. We're going to jump back on it into the action. Let's get going. Veronique Pouchat. I'm going to the 13th arrondissement. Okay. In that case, the poop story is going in the YouTube video. That's the last video in case you guys haven't watched that one and are watching this one for the first time. But for now, we're going to go speak to Veronique. The passenger getting into the cab smells like alcohol. There is a feeling of sadness about her. She gives you her address and you start the car. They settle into an unsurprising standard conversation. Climate change, politics, the price of real estate in Paris. But then, someone mentions the serial killer. You lean in to listen. A rumour. Could be of help. The passenger pulls out her phone, but the screen remains off. You glance back at her in the rearview mirror every now and then. She's clearly upset, uneasy, sad. All of a sudden, she speaks to you. She has a deep, soft-spoken voice. Excuse me. Do you think texting to say you had a nice evening, like, just 10 minutes after you saw someone, it might seem a bit desperate? No? You smile. Clearly you are not an expert on the subject. I have no idea. Her brown eyes sparkle with amusement. Sorry. Didn't want to. She turns her face away, apparently blushing. The thing is, I don't think I'd be able to do it anyway. It's so hard. I really liked meeting that girl. Super nice. I've been in Paris for 8 years now. 8 years! And it's hard. Incredibly hard. Her voice falters. And there are so many people in Paris too. You should see them. They do a lot of work in law firms. Bursting with attractive women. There's so much shame. And denial. Most are uncomfortable. Lost. I get it when you're 20, but when you're 30... Her eyes widen in dismay. Anyhow, who am I to say? I wasn't any better when I was 20, right? I'm surprised, that's all. I'm fed up. The passenger suddenly realizes she's oversharing. Sorry, I don't know why I'm telling you all this. We'll tend to open up at night. Your remark gets a smile from her. In taxi cabs, maybe. But on dates, it's just the opposite, isn't it? When I got to Paris, I thought I was going to meet a nice group of women at last, to go out and have fun. And all I found was more of the same. Girls who are inhibited, hung up, afraid, who don't want to commit. That girl tonight, she just wanted to go out for a drink because she was bored. That's why we met up so late. She didn't have anything to do at home, so... She didn't put it that way, of course, but I knew. Dates today are so... My friends are all to talk about the bars they went to back in the day, the underground scene, glances exchanged in the metro. Me, I'm happy just getting an emoji. Pretty pathetic. Luckily, there are the dating apps. We talk, try to get to know each other, sometimes we can't help it and we sleep together out of sheer necessity. But our real needs are never actually fulfilled. She falters and an uncomfortable silence ensues. Mine aren't, anyhow. She smiles. You near the address your passenger had given you. Her face clouds over. And she lets out a sigh. You park in front of her building and she pays the fare and thanks you warmly. But is unable to open the car door. As if her strength had deserted her. Sorry, I just need a second. Another second. Take your time. He nods, breathing out and straightening herself almost imperceptibly. You can do this. Climbs out the cab. Your eye follows her as she walks over to the building. A moment later, she's gone. We made profits! We made some money! Okay, François de la Norée. Tenez! You immediately recognize the next passenger getting in your taxi. You never watch television, rarely listen to the radio, you don't read the newspaper, and yet you know Francois de la Nore's face, polemicist, novelist, colonist, politician too, you think. Your passenger distractedly gives you his address. You start driving. Are you bothered by all of these protest marches? His question washes over you. You forgot that during the day people were holding protests. I work nights. Ah. He doesn't know how to follow up. A moment goes by before he yelps. Ah, see? There's not much chance that they come to protest at 3 AM, eh? It's not really surprising, actually. They want to make change, but only when it's convenient. Not during vacations, not on weekends, not at night. They make fun of us in other countries. France, the land of the strikes. The land of protest marches. This country is filled with jackasses, slackers and simpletons. But they protest nonetheless. What do you mean by that? I mean, they take the bus or the train specifically to protest. Well, yes, they certainly do like to protest. But actually, most of the people on strike just stay at home and don't work. Before you can get the slightest word in edgewise, he starts in again. Take the United States, for example. They have no right to strike. It's do or die. Spit flies from his mouth and disappears somewhere on the back seat. And they didn't become the most powerful country in the world by going on strike all the time. He snickers, his notebook appears in his hand and he begins to write. Strike, protest, unrest. While businessmen and manufacturers are working around the clock. French people should be ashamed. Take a look in the mirror and decide to change. Do something. They expect too much from life. They want to have their cake and eat it too, and bite off more than they can chew. He catches his breath and froth begins to form at the corners of his mouth. And meanwhile the world keeps turning. While the strikers twiddle their thumbs, workers are working. No, struggling to get the job done. That's better. Idiotic protest marches. The Frenchest thing and the stupidest. We have to look the masses in the eye and say, you do not own the streets. You shall not wield them like weapons. He suddenly raises his eyes and looks at you. They are unfocused and his complexion deathly pale. You alright, mate? Your passenger's gaze wanders somewhere beyond the windshield. I just remember that I once marched. It just came back to me like an old childhood memory. I can see it clearly from Versailles to Paris. I can picture the banners, the songs, and the people's faces. There were so many of us. We got up at dawn, thousands of us, and we marched towards the capital. Our pure and wholesome voices rose up. His voice shakes a bit. What were you marching for? It was a cry from the heart of the right for high quality religious education while France was being crushed by the weight of socialism. We were being ideologically purged, completely decimated. It was the end of parochial schools. The end of our culture as we knew it. His voice trembles. I'm going to stay silent. Your passenger slowly sinks into a strange funk. He remains that way for the rest of the ride until you reach his destination. He sighs contentedly as you pull the taxi up along the sidewalk. Those were the days. It was a great time. And left was running the country. He leans in towards you like he's about to tell you a secret with a smirk on his face. I mean the real left, eh? He gets out and gets out of the car. You can hear him talking to himself as he walks towards the front door of his building. What a lovely night. Good luck to you tomorrow. With all these protest marches, it's going to be a messy one. He's gone before you have time to remind him you only work nights. You notice a newspaper on the back seat. Your last passenger must have left it behind, or the one before. You grab it and put it away. Could come in handy. We start driving. No tip, you absolute dick. Let's have a quick look at the newspaper. You pull a newspaper out of your glove compartment and start leafing through it. Eventually, something grabs your eye. They mention the name of the hospital where one of your passengers, Gina, worked. You learn from the article that lots of medicine went missing, including pancuronium bromide. You turn the page and stop. You've read about a third of the newspaper. Keep reading. You stop reading and go back a few pages. You thought you saw something, and it's just a few lines. A funny anecdote. A man disguised as Santa Claus had to be taken off of the roof of a building by firemen. It was drunk Santa all along. He was highly inebriated and stated he did not know how he had gotten there. You only have a third left to read. Read the whole thing. As soon as you get to the page, you stop. Your instinct tells you to look at a short, very sarcastic text informs you your fellow cab drivers are going to protest this weekend against vehicles for hire. You shrug. Your boss treats you a lot better than most companies. You shut the paper. It'll end up in the trash tonight. If you remember it's there. Otherwise it'll spend its days in the glove compartment. I'm headed to Charles de Gaulle Airport. Nice decent fare. Excellent, excellent. Your next passenger is alone and waiting for you on the sidewalk. He gets in the cab and whispers, "Hello." He has no handbag or suitcase, just a small handmade sign with an Indian name printed on it. "Charles de Gaulle, please." She is young with a soft and slight accent. Her face shows no emotion. Her fingers play with a small gold chain around her neck. It's the only piece of jewellery she has on. You drive, glancing back at her from time to time. Her head seems to be elsewhere. "Everything all right, miss?" She nods her head gently, cracking a tiny smile. "It's really early." The first planes to come in are the worst. Everyone's exhausted and half asleep. "Yes, exactly. And I must confess, I really don't want to go there." The tiny smile lights her face up for a split second before disappearing. "Family?" "My future husband." "Well, future. Never even met him." Her accent suddenly becomes stronger. You know this habit well. Just before confiding in you, passengers tend to relax into their natural accent. "I'm sure he's a great guy, as they say here." Sadness appears in her voice. "I don't know him at all. My parents chose him." "Crazy, isn't it? Aren't you shocked?" "Yes." A sad smile washes briefly over her face. "It's tradition, or at least it used to be. My parents are a bit old school, even by current standards in India. I chose to study here and not in England like my sisters." He flashes a smile. "I fell in love with Paris and decided to stay. I almost never go home. Actually, this is home now. Anyway, my parents insist I meet him. He decided to make the trip, saying he had a meeting as a pretext. It's hard to hold it against them. It's understandable from their perspective. I mean, it worked for them, right?" You sense something bubbling up, anger, before she freezes. Some people refuse to let their emotions out. She slowly regains control of her body. What day trips would you recommend outside Paris?" "Nearby?" "Versailles, of course. It's really beautiful. Definitely worth it." Her face lights up. "Oh, yes. Perfect. I'm sure he'll like that." "Or there's Fontainebleau. There's a huge park. Very wild if he likes hiking." "I don't really know." She smiles shyly. You prefer to say nothing. The airport is not much further. Something about the young woman makes you feel uncomfortable. It looks as if she is about to scream but is holding it in. Time passes and silence fills the cab. "Which terminal?" Your question startles her. Terminal C? 2C, I think? Is it an Indian airline? Indeed. Then it's definitely 2C. The flights come in very early. Yes, very early. Thank you. You park the car in front of Terminal 2C. Your passenger grabs her sign and exits the cab. She pauses for a second if she were about to say something. Then she disappears. Hey, got a decent tip out of that one as well. Un grand baguette. Back to balloon, please. It takes you a minute to realise the person who just got into your cab is a woman. You hate it when your brain skips a beat, when you misread a face or a scene, and yet she is in fact a woman. A woman with a beard and a small battered suitcase. Gee, not unhappy to be here. She lets out one of those distinctive sighs, the kind a traveller gives after a long plane ride, then gives you an address in the suburbs. You start the cab. Our road is wide open. No traffic. You glance at your passenger. You got in late? Delayed for hours in New Delhi. I thought we'd never leave. How did you like India? It was incredible. Real experience. You stopped short. I'm sure you hear that all the time from passengers back from there. You smile. No, actually I don't. Really? Most of my passengers find it too dirty, too crowded. They complain about the spicy food, the noise, the smells. And she gives a short laugh. True enough. There we go, I'm going to go with this voice. I've decided what kind of voice I'm going to give her, so. True enough. I don't get it. All those people who go to countries that are so completely different and who come back in shock. Of course a country like India is going to be different. It's an entirely different world with its own communities, languages and customs. No connection to us whatsoever. You smile. There was a chance for me to let my beard grow in. She runs a hand through her beard. The gesture is new to her and clearly hard won. What do you think? It takes you a minute to respond. Don't worry, tell me the truth. I was a bit surprised. Of course you were. You're practically the first person to see me with it. Well, thousands of Indians have, of course. She smiles. You can read the weariness in her eyes. At first, I was supposed to go to India with my ex-husband. We split up 2 years ago, but he was still living in my house and I just couldn't let him go. He gives an almost imperceptible shrug, as if to emphasise the irony. We'd always wanted to see India, and we'd never been able to go. We had the kids, and then there was school, and then, well, anyway. The day we were supposed to leave, he chickened out, and I got on the plane. She spreads her hands with a broad grin. She radiates warmth and good spirits. She'd be the perfect grandmother, warm, slightly eccentric, ready for adventure. 4 weeks. Delhi, Jaipur, Bombay, Goa. Incredible. Lots of touristy spots. Beaches packed with young people. You're always wondering to yourself, what are they doing here? Do their parents know about this? I left without my overnight kit. It was in my ex-husband's suitcase. It's been growing in for 20 years. For 20 years I've had to shave, to wax and apply makeup. For 20 years I've been avoiding long trips, surprises, unforeseen events. Your passenger's voice is bursting with energy. You can't help but smile, and so here I am, growing this very full beard. Anyway, people, they don't give a shit about me except to make fun of me. So I stopped caring. You can't begin to imagine how it feels not having to shave and to put makeup on every day. You can see the fatigue in her eyes, the exhaustion. Every single day. My children don't know about my beard. They never have. Never saw it before, never realised. Are you worried? Am I afraid? I suppose I am a little, but I'm ready. Ready to take the world by storm, to embrace it and not let go. I used to be so, how can I put it? What's the opposite of selfish? You're at a total loss. Not selfless, not disinterested. I used to be so out of touch with myself physically. Yes, that's it. I was out of touch with my body, cut off from the real me. She flashes you a smile that instantly fades. Well, it's easy to say that right now. One with the fatigue of travelling and all. But maybe tomorrow, when I see them again. She stops short as if to compose herself. Anyway, tomorrow is another day. All in good time. You drive down her street, and your passenger glances out the window anxiously. You pull up to the address, a small suburban house like thousands of others in need of a fresh coat of paint. Everything alright? There is just one more thing I have to do. I have to kick my husband out once and for all. He pauses. My ex-husband. He grins and hands you the fare, and she lets out a long, happy sigh, then adds energetically, Good luck to you, and remember, keep that smile on your face. He walks away from the taxi, a small suitcase in hand. You drive away, your spirits renewed. Wait. We didn't get any tip, but we did get profits, and... Bear with me 2 seconds. Things didn't go so well at first with Ludovine, but they ended up okay. You close the front door behind you, but freeze. Someone was here. You know it. You can feel it. You notice a crushed cigarette butt on the ground. Yeah, it's one of yours, but it's been smashed with a thick shoe. You pick it up, look at it, and put it back in the ashtray. Files on the table, evidence on the wall. Yes, someone's been here. Let's go with the killer. The Sandman. It had to be him. Actually, there's no way it could have been anyone else. And you take a deep breath. Yeah, I'm alright, I'm alright. You must be dreaming. You're going crazy. You can't think straight anymore. If you're not careful, you're going to become completely paranoid. So you decide to ignore your hunch. After all, maybe you're the one who stepped on that cigarette before leaving last night. You take a few minutes to update your board with your new clues. You're suddenly overcome with the desire to sleep. You close your eyes, press your fingers to your eyelids and let out a yawn. You sigh and get to work. Right, so we've got no new clues whatsoever. Right, she's been eliminated. With a heavy hand, you wipe your tired face. You lie down on the open sofa bed. Oh, thanks. The events of the day run through your head. The streets, the passengers, their faces, their problems. Your brain is running at full speed, your body aches and you are in pain. You can tell you need to get more sleep. You glance at your investigation board. You don't quite know where you are anymore. To be honest, you're completely lost. You shake your head and your mind wanders for a second. And a question comes to mind. A very odd one. So odd you need to say it out loud to be sure you're not dreaming. Was that really Santa Claus? You lie there for a moment, listening to the echo of your own voice resonating around your studio apartment. Don't let him fool you. He's a git. I am not always a git. Babe. Listening to the echo of your own voice resonating around your studio apartment. The silence lulls you. Your eyes close and you can feel yourself drifting off. Oh, until you hear a voice break out in the distance. He's desperate! And then silence. You close your eyes without any idea where the voice is coming from. A second later, you're asleep. Okay, we're on to night 6 now. We need to get some more clues. We need to get some more investigations done. We need money, because we are running low on funds as well. The door opens. It's Hervé, a homeless man like hundreds of others in Paris. You've known each other for years, and every now and then he asks a favour of you to drive him someplace. You need some Blue's Clues and a nice big... As usual, he greets you quietly, though he always seems a little on edge. Hey buddy, what's up, pup? He has a strange verbal tick that you've never really understood. Oh god, this is going to be fun. You start the cab. Hervé seems pretty happy with himself today. In the rearview mirror, you watch him run his tongue over his lips as if mentally preparing for a good meal. He catches your eye and smiles. Hey, yeah, sorry I'm a bit out of it today. Oh, I see. It's just I had a bad week, you know, a really bad week. And yesterday... He hesitates as if he can't believe what he's about to say, like it's too good to be true. The lines around the corners of his eyes that show his real age crinkle slightly. Hervé gives a little laugh. Serious man, I don't believe in God, you know. I don't believe in all that bullshit, right? Shit, it doesn't make any sense. Some guy with a beard up in the sky, I never got it. What people saw in him. Anyhow, God, none of us believe in him on the street. His eyes crinkle up at the corners again. I mean, we believe when the soup kitchen goes to the church. Yeah, sure, we believe in him then. He flashes his teeth and lets out a harsh, raspy laugh. Ha ha. A pause. So, yesterday? Yesterday? He's observing you. His eyes light up all of a sudden. Oh, yeah, yesterday. He's talking faster now, an incessant flow. I was starving, man. It was pretty bad. Toby and I had gone through all the garbage bins in the neighbourhood. Toby, he's this German guy. He says he prefers France, that we're more generous here. So I was starving. Hervé's eyes tear up. His voice drops off and a faraway look comes over him. A lengthy pause. You okay, Hervé? He snaps out of it. Yeah, like I was saying, yeah, I was starving. I was hanging out near the supermarket. I was like, where am I sat? Fancy neighbourhood, but not too fancy, no cops. He gives you a wink. That's always a plus. And then there was like this guy I sometimes see around, a young guy, like just a kid. He comes out of the supermarket with his groceries, and before I even say a word, he hands me a can of cassoulet. A can of cassoulet as big as a beach ball. His face lights up. I didn't even know they made them that big. And he bursts out laughing, and his eye wanders back to the street. Smile. And they suddenly pat you on the shoulder. Hold on, wait. I'm going to get out here if you don't mind. You park the cab as soon as you see an empty space. Thanks, man. He's looking out the window. Yeah, I think that's him. Who? Nothing. Without another word, he opens the door and gets out. This time, I'm going to get him. A moment later, he vanishes into a dark alley. I'm going to sit there a minute. Your eye scans the dark, narrow street, but you can't make anything out. Then something moves in the distance. A silhouette. Probably a Hervé. Now at a run. His form darts under a street lamp. It is Hervé, holding something in his hand. It immediately vanishes from sight. You sit there a minute, and then... we switch on the ignition and pull out the parking space. No tip, no money, no profits, nada. Fantastic. Camille Riviere and Antoine Parmentier. My boyfriend and I headed to Vincennes. A couple gets in your taxi. If you add it up, their total age cannot be more than 40. They glance at each other nervously and occasionally grab hands affectionately. He speaks first. Despite being built like a tank, his voice is soft and a bit hesitant. Vincennes, please. You detect a southern accent. Have an address? The castle? She gives him a look and he tries again. The metro station, actually... You start driving. The couple is whispering in the back seat. Their words are sometimes covered by the sound of the radio, the street noise, and the motor. Idiot. Castle. Think we're gonna sleep there? Yeah, but I don't know where to... You smile. Passengers always think you can't hear them when they whisper in the back of the cab. No big deal. The hotel's right next door anyway. Actually, though, you can hear everything. Funny that. I've got ears. That hotel of yours? I'm just not feeling it. Why? Just not, that's all. On their website it looks old with tiny beds. We can get a double bed. I'm just not feeling it. A moment of silence. what should we do then? Well, we could ask him. Who? Driver. The boy raises his voice. What? Are you crazy? They glance at you, hoping that you haven't heard anything. Terrible whistling, very dry mouth at the moment. He must know some hotels, I'm sure of it. Go ahead, ask. I think it's strange. The guy's a taxi driver. I'm sure people ask him all the time. Me? Why me? You're the one that doesn't wait for my parents to leave us their place. Not why, it's just that your room is too... Too what? Posters on the wall and, well... Oh, come on, please. Stop with your excuse. You're just afraid of my old man. Awkward silence. Go on, ask. She rolls her eyes. Fucking loser. He looks at you. Hey, sir? Yes? So, he goes like, we need some advice. My boyfriend and I are looking for a hotel in Vincennes and something not too pricey, but clean. A double bed. No one cares about the double bed, Antoine. He doesn't give a shit. I know a few places in Vincennes. Is it safe? You nod. Yes. Yes, I'm a professional, miss. Thank you. The couple has begun whispering in the back again. You okay? I waited until my parents left. Yeah, I'm sorry, it's just my fault. I tried to rush things and... You kidding? I'm the one who's in a hurry. They look at each other and bust out laughing. Oh, sexy. You're an idiot. They start laughing again. Seriously though. Oh no, hang on, this is her again. Seriously though, if you want to wait, we'll see when we get to the room. Yeah. They look deep into each other's eyes. You don't pay them any attention for the remainder of the ride. They continue cooing in the back. They warm the taxi up with their sweet words that float up to your ears. Want to see what your insides look like? Turn to page 37. You stop the taxi in front of the hotel. It is a small, discreet building, no frills or fuss. Yes, it gives off a warm and welcoming impression. They get in frisky for the first time, and we are facilitating the frisky. We are frisky facilitators. There we go. That's it. That's the name of my channel, my chat, the frisky facilitators. We've decided, just spur of the moment here, fuck all to do with Sleepyhead. Well, actually no, Sleepyhead and his frisky facilitators. Yeah, I like that. I really like that. Oh, fantastic. So, yeah, it gives off a warm and welcoming impression. This is it. It looks pretty good. Yeah, yeah. I know the owner. He'll welcome you with open arms. And he'll welcome her with open legs. They remain silent for a moment. So, this is it? He glances at her boyfriend. Let's see how much it costs. We'll wing it. Yeah. Yeah, okay. They get out the cab. The young lady hands you her fare through the window and walks about without saying a single word. They disappear into the hotel, nervously. And we got a 14-cent tip. Fantastic. Right, okay, bear with me, my frisky facilitators. I'm just going to do the outro to the YouTube. That's it. That's the Nightcall shenanigans for this episode. Like, comment, and subscribe if you're enjoying it so far and you want to see more. If you've got any other accents or anything that you want me to throw up, if there's any specific types of quests or any particular characters you've seen that you want me to pick up and take for a ride as well to see what they're about, leave a comment down below and hit that bell button to get notified of when the next load of content will go up. Here's gaming. Be awesome to each other, guys. Stay safe, and I will see you all next time.
Play of the game.